across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
May I see your papers, please?
Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I'll be your host for the next 3 blockbuster hours of news, views and topical debates all the way to 10 o'clock. Get involved, get stuck in and call me on 0344 499 1000 or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number and I promise to play your message out. It is Thursday, September the 25th. Here is what's coming up. Another massive blow to British freedom as Starmer announces the dreaded start of our new Papers, Please dystopia. In a move typical of controlling socialists, the Prime Minister will tomorrow unleash his Soviet-style plan for digital identity cards for each and every adult in the UK. Unless this shocking assault on our liberty is somehow stopped, we will all be forced to carry these cards everywhere we go and produce them when commanded to by the police. Two-Tier and his cabinet crew are trying to convince us that these so-called Brit cards are the key to solving the migrant crisis because no one will be able to allowed to work or open a bank account without one installed into the planned government wallet app in their mobile phones. As Peter Cardwell and I were just discussing, what about people who don't own mobile phones? And there are so many other downsides to this appalling plan. When I say so many other downsides, I can't think of a single upside. As I said to Peter, here's one thing, it'll be a big upside for people who are good at forgery. There'll be a massive forgery industry providing fake ID cards to those who want them for money. 0344499 1000. Also tonight, after the first 3 migrants arrived here from France. By the way, I just heard that another one, we've sent another one the other way. So I think that means now we've got 5 out, is that right? 5 out or 4 out? 6, is it 6? 6 and 6, it's hard to keep count, isn't it? So we got 6 out. Anyway, the point is, after the first 3 migrants arrived here from France in the ludicrous one-in, one-out scheme, why don't we know who they are, where they're from, how much they're going to cost us? As the alleged hardline new Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood vows that more and more of these swapper foreigner migrants are set to hit Britain, why aren't we, the British people, allowed to know anything about this ongoing influx? 0344499 1000. Meanwhile, the great and the good and the left-leaning media establishment all scoff at Donald Trump's claim that Sharia law is taking hold in Britain. Are they aware that all across this country there are 85 Sharia councils sitting in judgment on a whole range of disputes, including marriage and divorce? Are we letting Muslims set up their own legal system? 0344499 1000. Plus, a migrant granted asylum here because life in his dangerous home country, Afghanistan, was a threat to his personal safety, took an 8-week holiday in Afghanistan and then returned to the UK. The Home Office is investigating this latest abomination in the ongoing comedy of errors we call the migrant crisis. I'll also highlight the ridiculous number of claimers getting benefits for anxiety. 250 people a day, every single day since Labour got into power and opened the welfare floodgates. 0344499 1000. In other news, Nigel Farage's assertion that migrants are stealing swans and birds from park ponds to eat has been shot down by Royal Parks and the RSPCA. But is this happening? Does it happen? I'll talk to an investigative journalist who says, damn right it's happening, damn right it's going on. 0344499 1000. I'll also talk two-tier justice as Quran-burning protester Hamid Koskan slams the courts after the Muslim maniac who repeatedly slashed at him with a knife, kicked him to the ground and screamed, "I'm going to kill you," was spared jail and allowed to walk free. 03444991000. I had Jake Berry, the former Tory party chairman, now of Reform UK, on my show last night. He said that this decision by a judge was a dark day for British justice, and I tend to agree. Do you agree? 03444991000. Leniency for Muslims. It's quite clear. It's quite obvious. Plus, Andy Burnham's now open campaign to replace Keir Starmer as Labour leader. I don't like Lefty Burnham much, but obviously we all wish him well in his bid to defenestrate the worst Prime Minister in British history. Go Andy! 03444991000. By the way, Starmer's now hitting back, criticising Burnham's naked personal ambition. So it's kicking off in Labour Towers. Hilarious. Just ahead of the Labour conference in Liverpool next week. That should be an interesting affair. Meanwhile, crazy Ed Miliband's mysterious eco-unfriendly trip to New York. What the hell is he doing there? I mean, this guy climbs on planes and jets, you know, like there's no tomorrow. His air mile tally, in the first 6 months of this government, he flew 23,000 miles. His staff have flown 14,000 miles in domestic flights. So they go from London to Manchester. Rather than get on a train, they catch a plane. Where is the green eco-friendliness in that? 0344 4991000. And finally, Kinsey Schofield on the latest news from Planet Sussex. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Thursday night together. And my Thursday friend is in the studio. Always look forward to Thursdays because I spend the first 60 sizzling minutes with senior fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kisley. Hello, Philip.
Hi, Kev. It's great to be back in the studio.
It's always a pleasure to have you on board, and we've got lots of stories to talk about. Now, I was going to kick off on the one-in, one-out scheme because I think there's a real transparency problem here. You know, the French are sending over these migrants. You know, I'm sure the Home Office knows something about them, but we, the people, don't know anything about them. So we are now having foisted upon us unknown foreigners officially. We're used to it with the illegal migrants. Now we're getting unknown foreigners who are legal migrants because they're coming over on the ludicrously inaccurately named one-in, one-out scheme. We now hear that Britain has got the grand total of 6 migrants back across the Channel to France under this scheme, and so far France has sent us 3. We'll talk about that later, but this cropped up this afternoon, Philip, the scourge, the dreaded scourge of digital ID cards. Now, we know Tony Blair and his Labour acolytes, his socialist acolytes, have been going on about this for years. You know, they say, oh, it's just, you know, it's purely bureaucratic, it makes things easier. And now, of course, Starmer and his gang, and by the way, I hear Tony Blair whispering in Keir's ear here. This is what Blair's always wanted, and Starmer will tomorrow, in a speech, announce that it's definitely going to happen, and he'll ratify that at the conference next week. With a bit of luck, it won't get in until about 2027, and with a bit of even more luck, by then Labour will be dead, buried and gone from our ongoing nightmare. But as things stand, this, Philip, will turn this country into a Soviet-style papers, please society. This is the problem. And, you know, it is a crackdown on personal liberty. So you'll be walking down the street, cop pulls you up, papers, please. Digital, they're going to call them brick cards. Brick card, please. You know, that isn't the British way. We've never done that sort of thing. And people say, oh, they have it in America. They don't really. I mean, I lived in the States. You have to have a driving licence, even if you don't have a car, funnily enough. So you have a sort of thing. But it isn't like this. This is East Germany. This is Stalin's Russia. This is China. You know, this isn't. And so they say, well, this is going to be the best way to solve the migrant crisis.
That's just rubbish.
It's rubbish.
Yeah.
This is about control. This is classic socialist control. That's what it's about.
It is. It reminds me very much. I used to go to Hungary in the 1980s as a child, and just hearing this now, it took me right back to the Soviet-style Eastern Bloc control, that loathed authoritarian regime. It's not going to do anything of the sort. He says that this is going to control migrants. Of course it's not. These people don't have bank accounts. They're not, you know, it's nonsense. This is all the black economy. You know, if you're going to attack the migrants and migrants working and try and stop them working, you need to attack companies like Deliveroo, for example. All of these companies that, you know, we don't know anything about the people who are working for them. They're all masked up. These people just turn up on your doorstep. So I think it's that kind of thing. You can't impose something top down on everybody and think that that's going to take in illegal workers, illegal migrants and all the rest of it, because they don't live by the same rules. The problem is, the fundamental thing is, they don't live by the same rules as we do. They don't pay tax, they don't have bank accounts, they don't have mortgages, they don't care about law and order, all of those things.
Yeah, and also, as I said to Peter Carboy just now, all this will create a very flourishing, blossoming forgery industry.
Yeah, it's more crime.
Yeah. The forged ID cards, BRIC cards, will become the new thing. So every migrant that Keir Starmer says he's controlling by not giving these cards, well, they'll get them, but they'll be fake. So this is purely for a classic socialist government to get control over the people. It's as simple as that.
It is, and it's so stupid, because if you if you surveyed people now, my guess is the vast majority of people would be terrified of this, because it puts people in danger.
Is it?
It's not British, and it's awful, but it also puts people in danger, because obviously your data is going to be in danger straight away. You personally are going to be in danger, because all of your details are going to be kept in one big place. Okay, if a foreign power attacks that, then my God, we're all finished. That's a major problem here. The other problem is, of course, as well, is that people don't tend to understand this, especially older people who don't tend to understand technology and all of those things. So your people are not making informed choices.
Yeah, so the idea, folks, as I was just saying to Peter Cardwell, in case you didn't catch that, is we will all be forced to, by law, install the government.co.uk wallet app in which will be your BRIC card. So you'll have to produce that. Now, as Philip quite rightly says, it's not just old people, a lot of old people who don't have smartphones. Loads of people choose not to have them. So how's it going to work for them?
Well, it's not going to work, is it? Clearly it's not going to work. And do you really want it? It's like a 1984 style telescreen, isn't it? It's exactly that, on your phone, tracking precisely where you are, what you're doing, what you're spending, who you're with. It's terrifying stuff.
Yeah, and it is saying, oh well, the thing is, it'll control the migrant crisis, because no one will be allowed to work or open a bank account without your BRIC card installed into your government wallet app. Well, you know, do you think that these Deliveroo guys who've just come across the channel illegally, do you think they've got like national insurance numbers and it's all above board? There's rubbish. There'll still be the black economy. There'll still be people working under the radar. This is purely so that people like Blair and Starmer and all these socialist control freaks can keep tabs on us. This is all about information is power. It's that, isn't it?
Yeah, and even the propaganda, they're not even trying with the propaganda, are they? They're not even trying to sell this, because it doesn't make any sense. They're selling it on a ludicrous premise. These people, you know, it's almost as though, oh yeah, all of these illegal migrants, well, you know, they've got ISA accounts. They're worried about They're worried about their 5%. You know what I mean? They're thinking about mortgages. They're thinking about settling down with children. It's ludicrous. They're not even trying with their disinformation. And do you know what? That's the really worrying thing. Actually, they don't even feel as though they have to care.
But exactly. But Tony Blair, when he was still in power in the early noughties, tried desperately to get this plan into operation, and even he felt such a kickback from the British people who were appalled by the very idea. Even he recognised that culturally it was not possible. Such was the antipathy towards the scheme by the British people. Starmer is now saying that they have definitely detected a change of mood among millions of Brits, and now we will happily have digital ID cards. That's not true. People will be disgusted by this, and so let's talk for a second. But this is one more example of what just a catastrophically dreadful politician he is. He doesn't have to do this. He knows, he's not admitting it, but he knows that people will be furious about this. Why is he doing it?
This is on the back of all of the catastrophes, one after another, that we've talked about week in, week out on this show every Thursday. It just feels as though this is, it's like the end of days. It feels as though, you know, I think the problem is that he's thinking about the public sector. He's thinking about the institutions. He's thinking about all of these organisations that are peopled by programmed robots that vote Labour and that are identitarian and that have blue hair and that are non-binary and all of that kind of thing. That's his kind of milieu. That's the only thing he understands. Everybody else, you know, the other 65 million people in the country hate this. There is no difference. These people feel no different than how they felt 20 years ago. They want the same freedom. We are all desperate for freedom because we are pushing against all of that other stuff. Yeah,
and I tell you, they're pretty soon they won't be called Brit cards. Everyone will call them something that rhymes with Brit and begins with SH. That's for damn sure. And the Unite the Kingdom march, there will be a down with the digital ID march that will make the Unite the Kingdom march look small. People will hate this. They will hate it. And quite why start? Look, if you think about it, what crisis, what emergency, what problem is it that Starmer thinks Brit cards, digital ID cards, are magically going to solve? What are the problems and the crises that these cards are going to magically solve? Nothing. Just some sort of nebulous reference to the migrant crisis because they think that will help to solve it. We don't need these. No one wants them, and all Starmer is doing here, and I bet you Andy Berman right now is rubbing his hands with glee, he is literally, not literally, don't say that, Kevin, he is banging another nail into his political coffin.
He is. I mean, and I've said this before, he has no political instinct whatsoever. He doesn't know. As a politician, he really doesn't know what he's doing. As a politician, he is a human rights lawyer, and that's probably the worst insult I could give him.
Yeah, what's it? Richard Littlejohn in the Mail always calls him. He calls him Keir Starmer is a total and utter lawyer. Lawyer as insult, and there's no worse insult. We got time. Well, listen, we're going to go to break. I want to have a quick chat about this one in, one out scheme. I also want to talk about Sharia courts, Sharia law. Because as I'm saying in my monologue, everyone will go, oh God, this is so ridiculous. Donald Trump is saying, oh, no. Saying we're going to have Sharia law in this country. It's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Well, as I revealed in my monologue, do you know how many Sharia councils there are in this country? 85. They are effectively Sharia law courts. They decide on personal disputes, on marriage, divorce. This is an Islamic law system. Shabana Mahmood approves of all this. So we do have a Sharia law court system. It's, I guess, sort of subordinate to our proper legal system, but it is growing, it is flourishing, it is escalating. So it's so typical of the complacent liberal establishment in this country, laughing at Donald Trump's suggestion. There's something going on here, folks, and we'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
Hello, Jezza.
You all right?
I'm good.
Yeah,
what are you
did you
doing?
drink?
I've had my drink.
Well, I've been running around.
I'm ready now.
I'm sure you are.
Should
right.
we start the show?
No, we can't. Saturday the 15th of November, here's a promise. You will not have seen anything like it. You will get honesty, you will get authenticity, and if we get our way, you might even get a cram in at the top. 3-tier World of Common Sense with Mike Graham.
And Jeremy Kyle.
In that order.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Donald Trump, we'll play the clip in a little while. You remember, well, it's only a couple of days ago, his excellent speech, in my view, at the United Nations, where he sort of laid into Europe, particularly Britain, basically, saying, well, you're destroying yourselves with your incoherent, mad net zero policies, and you're allowing yourselves to be destroyed from within by allowing all of these illegal migrants into your country. And he said that these asylum seekers are paying your kindness, our kindness, the UK's kindness with crime. And he said the Sharia law is on the way. You've got Sharia law. Now, as I said before the break, this is the complacent established, it's Donald Trump, it's ridiculous. Of course we haven't got a Sharia law. Well, there are 5 Sharia councils in East London alone. Around the country, there are 85. These are, in effect, Sharia law courts. Yeah, sure, they're not sort of ruling on, theft or murder or rape, but they are ruling on all sorts of lower disputes, so like marriage, divorce, neighbourly rows, all this kind of thing. So 85 around the country. And this is escalating. This is serious. Before I get your comment, Philip, let's remind ourselves of the President's warning.
I have to say, I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible, terrible mayor, and it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained.
Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, in my view, and I think Mr. Kisley will probably agree with me, Dr. Kisley, my apologies, just to show, we have a high standard of intellect in this studio. Not this side of the desk, that side. The President is damn right. He is right on the money there. And in terms of Sharia law, 85 Sharia councils, they call them Sharia councils, that they're often kind of quasi-courts in terraced houses and things like that, where Muslims come to get their disputes settled. 85 around the country and counting. Something is going on here.
Oh, something's definitely going on, and it's been going on for a long time, and they hold real sway. They've got real power, okay, and they've got power in particular kinds of places. So the populations of places like Dewsbury and Batley, for example, they don't take our law and order seriously because they have negotiated policing anyway, okay? So, it's community leaders deal with the police, but these Sharia councils dole out the real law. They dole out the law that they actually take seriously, because it's all about culture, isn't it? And what we do have is a kind of extra legal system that's running parallel with our own. So he's absolutely right. Sharia law is happening in this country. And we don't know to what extent or what they are ruling on.
And by the way, our Muslim Home Secretary, I'm not saying she approves of these Sharia councils because she's a Muslim, but it's worth pointing out that she is. But Shabana Mahmood does approve of this. She thinks it's a very good thing. Labour, I think, generally think it's a very good thing. I think that the President is right to fire a warning shot across our bows about this. I really, really do. By the way, while we're on the subject, our little pipsqueak mayor, Sadiq Khan, who... Donald Trump absolutely loathes him. Well, we all loathe him there. So Khan goes, I'm not going to dignify the president's attacks with a response. And he's been responding ever since. But my favourite response was, Donald Trump is... So we're going to play now, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to play right on socialist insult bingo. He called him racist, yeah! Sexist, yeah!
Islamophobe.
Misogynistic, yeah! Islamophobic, wow! Bam, bam, that's house. Bingo! I think I've got the lot. He missed out transphobic, homophobic. So many more he could have tried. But it's pathetic, though, isn't it?
Well, this is where you get to, right? When you start playing multiculturalism, and multiculturalism trumps everything else. So multiculturalism trumps the notion of being British. It trumps heritage. It trumps traditional values. Multiculturalism, everything. And the strongest element of multiculturalism always rises to the top and dominates everything else. And it's totally anti-democratic. It's just, this is always what happens, and it's always radical Islam.
Yeah, and we're going to do this story a little later. We did it, of course, covered it last night as well, of course. There is also this suspicion, very justified in my view, that in our real courts, Muslim defendants are getting favourable treatment. So yesterday we had the case of the perfectly legal protester who burned a Quran. He's a Muslim, a disaffected Muslim. And another Muslim went home to his house. It's in Knightsbridge. He lived nearby. He went to his place. He got a knife, returned, slashed at the protester like this time and time again, kicked him to the ground, screamed to him, "It's my religion. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you." This guy walked free from court yesterday. He was not acquitted. Do you know what makes me laugh? The judge said, "Your crime, violent crime, threatening to kill it, clearly crosses the custodial line." Clearly. And then he sentenced him to 20 weeks in prison, suspended for 18 months. So it clearly crosses the custodial line, so I'm not going to put you into custody. I'm going to let you walk free. I mean, to go back to Sharia law, I mean, if that guy, Hamid Kuskan is the name of the guy who burnt the Quran, if he burnt the Bible, nothing will. He got fined £240 for religiously aggravated public disorder. If he was burning the Bible, nothing would have happened to him. There's a favouritism there. And to go back to Sharia law courts, Catholics don't have their own courts or their own councils, shall we say. Jews don't have their own councils. So everybody goes, well, why are Muslims, allowed to have their own Sharia law councils, let's call them what they are? Why are they allowed to have their own legal system? Because other religions and other sections of the community aren't.
Well, they take the religion very, very seriously, so seriously that they make other people frightened of them. And we have a custodial system, we have the police force, we have the institutions that are all frightened of Islamism. We see it every day. We see it, we see it in the courts, we see it on television, we see it with the government, we see it with the failure to deal with Pakistani rape gangs because they're of a particular demographic. It just goes on and on and on, and it's so deep and it's so tragic, and it touches so many people's lives that the longer this goes on and the longer we do nothing about it, the worse it's going to get, because what happens is young men in particular, and you can see the research from places like Policy Exchange and all of the Westminster think tanks who dealt with this stuff, young men are becoming more and more radicalised because they feel stronger and they feel as though anything they say and do they are just given a free pass, and they despise the host culture because it's so weak.
Yes, and you know, the fear of being accused of Islamophobia, that's what allowed the rape gang scandal to get worse and worse and worse. And by the way, it's pretty clear it's still going on. 250,000 vulnerable young white girl victims of the rape gang scandal all over the country. Policemen, teachers, social workers, local politicians turning a blind eye, because had they have highlighted this, had they have reported it, like the brave Maggie Oliver whistleblower, police whistleblower, the only one who had the guts to do it like she did, they were terrified that if I raise the alarm, people will call me Islamophobic. And the fear of Islamophobia, or being charged with this Islamophobia, seems to be an extremely prevalent situation in this country, and it's something we should seriously worry about. Listen, we better go to break. When we come back, Philip, we're going to talk about, as I say, the migrant crisis. I got a listener a viewer told me off last night. So you keep laughing about it. It's not funny. Well, I agree, it's not funny. But if you didn't laugh, you'd cry. And when I laugh about all this stuff, it's with contempt for the way our government, or successive governments, have made such a chaotic mess of this, and they continue to do so. So I don't find it funny, of course, but as I say, if you didn't laugh, you'd cry, and our next story definitely falls into that category. We're going to talk about the asylum seeker here, granted asylum because it's, you know, he came from dangerous Afghanistan. One of the best ways to get almost automatic asylum is to come from Afghanistan. It's a kind of almost a nod through. So it's too dangerous for me. I can't go back. You've got to give me asylum. It's my own personal safety. Of course. You could stay here forever. He's just taken an 8-week holiday in Afghanistan. He went back to Kabul for 8 weeks, and then he returned to Britain. So presumably he said, well, the 8 weeks when I was there, Afghanistan actually wasn't that dangerous, but it is again now. We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
We're going to talk about, in a little while, later in the show, about this allegation by Nigel Farage that migrants are going into the royal parks and stealing swans and ducks and carp as well, and then taking them off to eat them. I'm not going to name the guy. Somebody said royal parks say that there isn't any evidence that migrants are eating the carp and the swans, or are stealing the carps and the swans. He said this is probably because they've eaten them all.
Fantastic.
But I am going to talk to a friend of mine, a journalist, JJ Anisiobi, used to work here, who actually did do an investigation to this, and he will tell you, don't laugh this out of court. He says it does happen. It does happen. We'll play you the famous Donald Trump. Remember when he said that during the TV debate with Kamala Harris during the campaign? What was it? They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. That was Springfield, Ohio, which is also where the Simpsons live, I do believe. Although I'm not sure they're real people. They're cartoon characters, a bit like Keir Starmer. Now, let's talk about this asylum seeker, the 8-week holiday. His name on social media is DG Usama. He arrived here in 2022, filmed himself on a small boat, so he came in illegally. He was on a packed dinghy, one of 2,143 migrants who crossed in the month of April 2022. And it's a praise be to God, praise be to Allah and all that. He posted this video. Anyway, he then took to posting on social media lots of pictures of him in front of landmarks, Tower Bridge, Canary Wharf, Brighton Beach. Well, good for him, enjoying his new country. Anyway, in September 2024, he posted a video from Kabul where he was enjoying an 8-week holiday. So his case to stay here, Philip, was my home country is dangerous. It's a threat to my personal safety. And as I said earlier, I've just seen the Sun's brilliant headline. I must admit I didn't say a cock and Kabul story. Well done to the Sun. It's still got it. Anyway, so he said it was too dangerous for him. And yet, then in 2024, he went back for an 8-week holiday and then returned to Britain. The Home Office says it's investigating this. The Home Office yesterday said it's investigating the fact that migrants are being ferried by Mercedes taxis, 250 miles, 600 quid fares to go and see doctors. They're investigating this. The Home Office is investigating one hell of a lot of abominations, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, you said before it was a comedy of errors. It is, and we are laughing at this, but we're laughing at it because it is just so grotesque, I think is the right word for it. We've been through, in a way, the tragedy phase. We've talked right across the culture about gang rape, about sexual assault, about murders, about all of that kind of terrible stuff from illegal immigrants and immigrants coming into this country. We know all about the stats. Now we're at this kind of farcical phase, and it's really depressing because it's so stupid. I feel more than ever almost powerless to do anything or even say anything meaningful about it because it's so stupid. And that's the insult. It almost feels, I said before, it feels like we're at the end of days. I was thinking about all the stories we're talking about tonight, and it really does. This is how things just peter out. They peter out into stupidity. They don't necessarily go with a bang. So we're at this terrible stage where we really do need to do something about this because it's shocking. We are becoming absurd, and the way we do it, I mean, just sorry to keep going on about it, Kev, but
that's what you're here for.
I'm steaming. Steam's coming out my ears here. The way to do it is to stop the impetus. Stop the benefits, for God's sake. The stuff you were talking about yesterday. Again, it's this other absurdity. This kind of stuff as well. They can go and come back. Yeah. Well, they simply can't come back.
By the way, you know what I said about... so this guy came in 2022, and I said about, Afghanis regularly get just nodded through. Until 2023, guess what the percentage of Afghanis granted asylum was? 99%. 99% of people from Afghanistan were granted asylum, and this guy, DJ Usama, was one of them. But let me know what you think about this, folks. But mostly, what I'd like you to call up about, and obviously a lot of people are, how do you fancy a digital ID card? How do you fancy Britain becoming a Soviet-style dystopia where the police will stop you and say, essentially, papers, please? It's like one of those 1960s spy movies. This is Soviet-style assaults on our liberty. These are socialists, these people who are running the country right now. This is the sort of stuff they like. They see the people, the state is all-powerful, and the people must be subservient to the state, and in order to facilitate that, the state must keep tabs on the people. So they'll give us all a number, and it'll be on our little cards. Papers, please. And Julia Hartley-Brewer, love her to bits. And a very forthright lady. She's just not going to have one. I just won't do it. Well, that's my emotion through and through. If there's any way of wheeling out of this, I won't be doing it. However, unless somehow or other this madness, this assault on our freedom can be stopped, it will be the law. So you have to obey the law, folks. So we'll have to do this. But as we said earlier, what about if you haven't got a mobile phone? Very keen to hear from anyone if you haven't got a mobile phone and you don't want one. But let me know what you think about the idea that Britain, under Keir Starmer's broken Britain, will soon, if he has his way, well, he will get his way because he's got a huge majority, will be a country in which you will have to have your papers, you will have to have your official government ID, your number, your state number, to show the police, to get a job, to open a bank account. They say it's going to solve the migrant crisis because illegal migrants won't get them. Yeah, they will. They get forged ones. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. This is about left-wing socialists wanting to keep tabs on the proles, the serfs, the people of this country. I think we've got to protest for all we're worth about this, for all we are worth. I really do feel that, passionately. What do you think, folks? What can we do about this? And I'm not advocating breaking the law, I am advocating that we protest from the bottom of our hearts and we let this automaton, this shark-eyed little autocrat who runs this country, technocrat, Keir Starmer, we let him know the strength of our feelings. Let me know how strong you do feel about this, because I'm certain you do. 03444991000. We'll take a break from all of this madness when we come back, and we'll segue into another type of madness, and that is Britain's mad, crazy welfare system. Unbelievable statistics for you coming up. Stay tuned.
while Reform are in the ascendancy and they're ahead in the polls, Boris still has an appeal to the exact target voters that Reform are going for. Those people that perhaps voted Labour for a long time, then they voted for Brexit, then they voted for Boris in 2019. They're disappointed with the government, they're disappointed with the Tories, but Boris is the one that could, upset the Reform apple cart. So almost like sort of Van Helsing, they're sort of trying to drive a stake into Boris is down and out, but they just want to really make sure he's not coming back.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Let's talk. We've been talking about the migrant madness. Let's now talk about the welfare madness in this country. Labour have opened the benefits floodgates, particularly to disability benefits being awarded for anxiety and mental health issues. So ever since they came into power, check this out, a staggering 250 people every day have been awarded disability benefits for anxiety. This is according to a study, a research by the Centre for Social Justice think tank. 44,000 Brits have landed PIP payments. What's that stand for again? Remind me. Personal income.
I can't remember what it's called now.
Anyway, you know what it is. My producer will tell me in a minute. He's not even watching the show. He's reading the papers. Are you watching a different show? What does PIP stand for? Remind me. PIP payments. This is a well-oiled machine, very well-oiled. I think they've all been down the personal independence payment. Very well-oiled machine. They've all been down the pub for 6 hours. Personal independent payments. Anyway, so 44 Brits have landed. 44,000 Brits have landed PIP payments for anxiety during Starmer's disastrous premiership. Disability payments have now soared to a record high, with 633,000 people claiming for anxiety and mood disorders by July this year alone. By this 633,000 by July this year. So that's the first year of Labour. This think tank, Centre for Social Justice, they say that Rachel from Accounts, the useless Chancellor, could save, that they're all useless. It's not really worth saying useless Starmer, useless Rachel from Accounts, is it? We take it as read. It goes without saying they're all useless. But anyway, Rachel from Accounts could save £7 billion by reforming mental health benefits and getting 120,000 young people back into work. In other words, we are allowing far too many young people to just go off work for mental health and anxiety. I'm not trying to undermine genuine serious anxiety, mental health problems, but it seems to me clear that we're being pretty relaxed about who qualifies for this. And there's another awful statistic. More than 200,000 young men have been signed off work for life with no requirement to ever look for a job. We can't afford this, can we?
It's extraordinary. Yeah. I mean, that's extraordinary. That is depressing. If you want depression, that's depressing.
That's giving me anxiety.
Well, one of the things about anxiety is it's just so difficult to quantify, and it isn't all bad. Some anxiety is actually quite good for you because it makes you do things. It makes you achieve. You know what I mean? If you're under a little bit of pressure, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And the worst thing you can do if you're depressed or anxious is just stay at home. home. You know, the best thing you can do is get out and do things.
Work is good for you, and it's not just financial. It's good for your mental health, folks. It seriously is.
A little bit of stress is good. You know, you achieve things. That's how it used to be. But everything now is pathologized. Everything just, anything that is about living and that is about achieving and is about any kind of conflict is bad, and that is wrong, because that you can't. All you do is just stay at home and rot away if that's the case. And unfortunately, that's what's happening with so many people.
Well, my doctor said to me the other day, he said, do you suffer from stress at all? I said, well, about every day.
You're not kidding.
About every day since I was about 18, from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed, I get a lot of stress, but there you go. But we can't afford this, can we? We can't afford this. This is, there's just handing out money to pretty much anyone who asks. 231,000 young men aged between 16 and 29 are now on universal credit with no requirement to look for a job for the rest of their lives. This is according to the Department of Work and Pensions, so these are official statistics.
Well, we're developing a kind of basket case culture for ourselves, and if you think about those young men, and we know about young men who are depressed, they are the demographic who will be most prone to actually killing themselves, right? So if they are staying at home, the government is giving some of those young men a death sentence, because they will get more depressed, they will get more anxious, their self-esteem will go through the floor because they're not working and they don't have to do anything. It's the worst possible scenario for people who have low self-esteem. Now, there will be some scroungers, but there will be some people there who desperately need connection with people. They desperately need to feel as though they are contributing, doing something, and the government is actually stopping them doing that.
Yeah. See, the thing is, on a very basic level, this is true. These things I know. I think Philip knows it as well. There's nothing like a pint of beer or a drink after you've done a hard day's work. But if you aren't working at all and you just go and have a pint or a drink, there's something very unsatisfying about that. It's the same thing, weekends when you got the day off. You've earned your money. Now you
earn it.
You've earned your money. Now you can enjoy yourself with a feeling of satisfaction. And these people, and I tell you where it all started, in my view, or where this welfare culture got a lot worse, was the COVID crisis, the so-called COVID crisis, where people stopped going to work. The mindset of this nation, this formerly hard-working nation, Brits were hard-working people. Work hard, play hard, that was our culture. Along came the COVID crisis, and for 2 years or so, millions of people didn't have to go to work. They were just paid by the furlough scheme, remember Rishi Sunak?
I remember it well, yeah.
Rishi Sunak kept extending it. Oh, this is good, people like this. Well, of course they do. You don't have to go to work, you get money. But in my view, and I think I'm right, it recalibrated the mindset of the British people, and we went from being a work-oriented nation to the kind of nation that is full of people who just don't want to go to work. They don't like the idea. It's sort of, I don't want to get up in the morning.
Well, it's impacted massively on young people, very young people, because they don't know any different, right? But there's something about that, and what happened was that work was almost kind of redefined as being somehow harmful, right? And a bit of stress is actually good for you, and you need stress to do jobs sometimes. My God, you've got an incredibly stressful job, right? And if you said, well, I can't have any stress, but if you said, I mustn't have any stress, you simply couldn't do your job, right?
Yeah. As I was suggesting in the office that I could do more work. So if I could stick a broom up my backside, I could sweep the floor at the same time. Because, I do have to do a lot of work, and it is quite stressful. But, to be honest with you, in the end, I enjoy it. I enjoy that. I enjoy being busy. I enjoy the stress of it. And I think that a lot of these people, these young men in particular, who think they got away with it, they don't know what they're missing.
No, they're storing up a lifetime of misery, and that is the really tragic thing.
Yeah, and economically, of course, you know, having millions of people, you know, drawing money from the state is disastrous for our economy.
Yeah. It's like I say, we're building a basket case culture and society for ourselves, and it works on so many levels. It's personal, it's societal, it's cultural, and it's economic. And my problem is that I can't see into the future because of it, because I don't know how we can continue along this road.
Yeah, and this, by the way, let's stress, you know, we're not against the welfare state. We're not against benefits for people who deserve it. Millions of people. This is the great thing about a great country like Britain. We look after the vulnerable people who need it. The fact of the matter is 100% now, many people who are getting very generous benefits actually are kind of gaming the system. They don't really need it. So we need to get back to giving benefits and welfare to people who genuinely need it, and be a lot more strict about people who come in saying they're suffering from anxiety and mental health. What do you reckon? 03444991000. Philip, it's been fantastic as always. You'll be back next week. That's Dr. Philip Kisley, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. When I come back, they're eating the dogs and the cats in the royal parks. That next, stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, listen, without further ado, do you remember this? Donald Trump during the TV debate with Kamala Harris in the election campaign over there in America. This, remember?
They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
I love that. The thing is that everybody laughed at him. Oh, he's gone mad, he's gone mad. I say that was the moment he won the election. He was talking about Springfield, Ohio, where 20,000 Haitian refugees, asylum seekers, had been kind of imposed on a city of 70,000 people. And there were all these stories going around that they were eating pets. It was never actually officially confirmed. But anyway, Nigel Farage, perhaps taking a leaf out of his friend Donald Trump's book, has said that in the royal parks, and indeed parks around the country, royal parks are the big parks here in London, Regent's Park, Hyde Park and all that, that migrants are stealing swans and carp, the fish, ducks, and then eating them. Taking them away to eat them, and everybody's, oh, rubbish. Now, the Royal Parks has denied it, and the RSPCA have also poured cold water on this claim. But I recalled a conversation I had with my investigative journalist friend, JJ Anasiobi, and he had a look into this some years ago. And he's here to tell you that this does happen. Well, hey, JJ, I was just doing a story about lazy people, so it's good to have you on the show.
You haven't changed, Uncle Kev. You haven't changed. How are you?
I'm good, mate. It's good to have you on the show. But seriously, you were telling me you did this investigation for a local paper, and you're a great reporter and all that. You established, to your complete satisfaction, that this does go on. Tell us about it.
Absolutely. It was about 15 years ago. I was a much younger journalist starting out in hard news, and I was working for the Wandsworth Guardian at the time. It's now called the Wandsworth Times or something. And we'd heard about a story we had two versions actually. We had one that happened near Tottenham and one in Ilford. There's a park in Ilford I think it's called Valentine Park. We'd heard reports that a swan had been taken out of the lake and was seen being carried by several men, 3 or 4 men, and they were running out of the park with it. We heard a similar story from Tottenham Hale, that a man was seen camping around a lake, and there were swan feathers everywhere and swan bones. And a fisherman, the guy who was there to fish in the local pond, had said, this is odd. This guy's got feathers and dead birds around him. Called the authorities. The authorities didn't turn up straight away. They went a few days later. There was still this massacre of bones on the floor, but the man in his tent had gone. So with the one in Ilford, I went and investigated. I went round, I spoke to people in the park, I followed up with the witnesses who had put the statements in. They all said the same thing, that the numbers vary between 4 men and 6 men, but they all said 4 to 6 men had run from the park, they grabbed a swan, and they ran out of the park with it. That's what they all said to me. And when I inquired further to other people, what do they look like? They were white. Did you hear them speaking? They all said basically that I think these were Polish people. That's what they said, Polish men. And then other reports came out as well of them fishing in the lakes as well, in the park. Some of these lakes don't even have fish in them, but they were there fishing, trying to catch fish. So when people say no, there's no chance of it happening, it's all just Farage trying to boost things up and do Trump language. Unfortunately, it is happening, and people have seen it happening. This is not some urban myth. This has been happening previously. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's happening again now, because, well, what's changed in 15 years? Nothing has changed. If you're coming from a country where it's okay to go out hunting and getting wild fish and wild geese and swans, okay, cool. That's it. They don't understand the difference between their home and what's acceptable here.
Yeah, exactly right. And I know it won't come easy to you to be confirming a Nigel Farage story. Everybody, JJ's a bit of a lefty. And the police said, no, that's not happening. Because, you know, local communities don't like to say people are nicking the swans and the ducks and the carp and taking them away and eating them. It doesn't make their city look good. And I always remember, though, the police in trying to shoot this story down in Springfield, Ohio, they said we've had no credible reports of this, to which I thought, so you have had reports. So there's this, just like Kamala Harris then, you know, like it sounds like such a garish thing to be saying. Kamala Harris sort of, oh, he's taken leave of his senses. And that's the way people are reacting to what Nigel Farage says. But, you know, as you are revealing, we should take it more seriously than people are.
We should absolutely take it more seriously. And it is a problem. People can bury their heads in the sand all they want and try and be politically correct about things. As you said, I don't want to be on here helping Nigel Farage. I've met him. Yeah, he's a great talker. He's very charismatic, but I don't agree with 90% of what that guy says.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
But the facts are the facts, unfortunately. As a journalist, as a young journalist, I heard the reports and I was sent there by the editor to go and find out. And plenty of witnesses came forward and said, yeah, we saw it. Yeah, we did see it. And it wasn't skinhead white guys with the St. George flag tattooed on their arms. The area there's a large Asian presence in that area, a large Asian community. I spoke to several Muslim men who said, yeah, we saw them running, and the swan was making a strange sound, trying to free itself, and they're holding the wings down, and all of them are running out the park with it. It's just the reality. It's an uncomfortable truth, but in that situation, that was what I was told by eyewitnesses.
Yeah, well, in journalistic parlance, you stood the story up. And, of course, as you quite rightly say, a lot of these migrants, they come from cultures and countries that are really into hunting, you know, hunting for your own food. And I don't think perhaps many of them, or some of them, don't quite understand that, you know, Regent's Park is not a hunting ground. And personally, you know me and animals, I hate the cruelty of this. But what you're saying essentially, Jage, is, you know, don't laugh at this. Take this seriously, what Farage is saying. Yeah,
so take it seriously. Take it seriously. And if you see it, call it out. Don't bury your head in the sand and say, oh, no, it must be something different. It must be something else. Don't. But like, I remember when we worked together, Kevin, and the West Ham footballer who was kicking his cats around.
Yeah, what was his name? Kurt Zuma.
Zuma, right, yeah. And the country was in uproar about it. He should be fired. He should be never allowed to play football ever again. And then we hear reports of someone taking this one out of a park, and suddenly it's no, but that couldn't possibly happen. There's no way that happened. Why wouldn't it happen? Why wouldn't it? Of course that can happen.
Take it seriously. Do you remember the chant of all the opposing fans when Kurt Zuma played? It was Kurt Zuma, he plays at centre back, he kicks his effing cat. And on that bombshell, I know you've got to put your kid to bed. JJ, it's really good to catch up with you again, and thank you for that story. JJ Anasiobi there, used to work here, now working at the Daily Express. But listen to what he said. You know, he's a great journalist, JJ, and he worked on that story around London. And as I said, in journalistic parlance, he stood it up. So let's not all complacently laugh about what Nigel Farage said. Let's take it seriously. I'm serious, you know, because I believe, particularly from what JJ's said, I believe it could be happening. And as I say, I hate cruelty to animals, so I don't like this one bit. What do you think? 03444 991 1000. When we come back, we're going to be talking, we'll play you that video, we'll talk about the Muslim maniac, in my view, who attacked the man burning the Quran as a protest outside the Turkish consulate in Knightsbridge in London. I think it's back in June. And the guy's burning the Quran, and this guy went back to his house to get a knife, slashed like crazy at him, then kicked him to the ground, said, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. In Southwark Crown Court this week. That Muslim maniac was set free. The judge said, "Oh, your previous exemplary character, you're upset because it was insulting your religion." Well, the judge should take on board. I don't think it's a nice thing to do, to burn the Quran or the Bible or any other sacred religious tract, but it's not illegal in this country. And the judge said, "Oh, you were upset because your religion was being insulted." The judge should have taken on board that in this country it is not illegal to insult a religion. We do not have blasphemy laws, and the argument is, and I agree with it, we cannot have Muslims or any people of any religion taking blasphemy into their own hands, trying to enforce blasphemy laws, you know, through violence, through threats. Because we don't have blasphemy laws. It's as simple as that. This guy's shouting, "You insult my religion." As I say, I don't think it's nice to insult religion, but you insult my religion, the answer to that should be, so what, I'm allowed to. It's as simple as that. We'll talk about that when we come back. 03444991000.
While Reform are in the ascendancy and they're ahead in the polls, Boris still has an appeal to the exact target voters that Reform are going for. Those people that perhaps voted Labour for a long time, then they voted for Brexit, then they voted for Boris in 2019. They're disappointed with the government, they're disappointed with the Tories, but Boris is the one that could, upset the Reform apple cart. So almost like sort of Van Helsing, they're sort of trying to drive a stake into Boris is down and out, but they just want to really make sure he's not coming back.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Now, we're going to talk about this extraordinary incident in Knightsbridge in February, it was actually, that a guy called Hamid Kuskan, he's 51, he's a disaffected Muslim, doesn't like Islam at all. He was staging a protest, perfectly legal protest, outside the Turkish consulate in Knightsbridge, very flash area of central London, burning the Quran. Legal. That is a legal protest. We don't have blasphemy laws. You're perfectly entitled to set fire to the Bible or the Quran or any other religious book if you want to. I wouldn't advocate it. I don't think it's a very nice thing to do, but if you want to, it's not against the law. That's about freedom of expression, freedom of speech. A Muslim guy called Musa Kadri, he's 59, lived nearby. He saw this, lost it, went back to where his place of residence, his house or flat, whatever it was, got a knife. And you're going to see this now. Here he comes, slash, look at this, dum, look at that. There's the burning Quran. He goes to the ground, he kicks, look at that. And all the time he's screaming, you insult my, look at that, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. In court yesterday, or in court this week, Southwark Crown Court, that guy, that maniac, that knife-wielding maniac, was sort of set free, was allowed to walk free from court by a judge who said, oh, previous exemplary character, but this crime, look at that, for God's sake, clearly crosses the custodial threshold. The judge then proceeded not to send him to jail. He didn't put him into custody. And he said, oh, he told the police, I would protect my religion. And the judge said, well, yes, you're very upset because of your religion, previous exemplary behaviour, but I'm afraid it does cross the custodial line. And then he didn't put him into custody. He gave him a 20-week prison sentence, suspended for 18 months. Suspended sentences, folks, are ludicrous. It's the equivalent of just letting people off. So he walked free. Now, Hamid Koskan today has, furiously slammed this and said this is two-tier justice. This is a court genuinely going easy on a guy because he's Muslim, because he's Islamic. And I don't think many other people, other types of people will get away with what we saw there. Let's speak to, now Hamid Koskan has been represented throughout his ordeal. By the way, he got a 250 quid fine, 249 quid fine for religiously aggravated public disorder. He's appealing that sentence, that fine. He's appealing against that. But why did that guy? Why would that was a really vicious attack. You saw it. Why was he allowed to walk free? Is this two-tier justice? Is this a British court going easy on a guy because he's a Muslim? For fear of the charge of Islamophobia or something. Let's speak to, from the Free Speech Union, who, as I say, are representing Hamid Koskan, Sam Armstrong. Hello, Sam.
Evening, Kev.
Well, you heard what I just said. What are your thoughts? Judge Adam Hiddleston gave Kadri a 20-week prison sentence, suspended for 8 months. I don't know why they bother with this nonsense. They might as well say, well, Mr. Kadri, I'm letting you go. I'm letting you off. And that's essentially what it was. Mr. Koskan says this is two-tier justice. This is favouritism towards Musa Kadri because he's a Muslim. Do you concur?
Well, consider the situation in which the shoe was on the other foot. Perhaps there was a stall in the centre of a town somewhere in this country in which a white Christian man heard a Muslim Jew preacher, someone who's trying to proselytise people on behalf of Islam. Perhaps they were saying that they did not believe that Jesus was the Son of God and that Muhammad was instead the true prophet of God, and Islam was his true religion. Imagine that they went into their house, retrieved a knife, went back out into the street, repeatedly shouted that they were going to kill that person, forced them to the ground as they slashed them again and again and again and again with that knife. Can you imagine Can you imagine that a man in those circumstances, a white Christian man slashing at a Muslim who was trying to convert others to the cause of Islam, would not have been sent to prison? Honestly, hand on heart, someone who's worked in and around politics basically his entire life, I can't tell you that, Kev, because they wouldn't have been. They would have been sent down for as long as humanly possible. They wouldn't have been charged, as Musa Kadri was, for common assault and possession of a knife. They'd have been charged with what he ought to have been charged with, attempted murder. They could have possibly been charged even with a terrorist offence. The police don't care, they're not interested. In the video that's playing now, there was another man who was driving, surprise, surprise, a takeaway delivery bike, who kicks Hamid Koskan when he's on the ground repeatedly.
Oh yeah, I can see that now, yeah.
You can see that now. Had the police even bothered to track him down? No, they haven't. On the other hand, Hamid Koskan was prosecuted by the most senior barristers in the country, who threw the book at him for burning his own copy of the Quran. Kev, I wish it wasn't true. I wish I didn't have to come on television late at night and say that we lived in a country in which there were two standards of justice. One standard if you're in vogue at the minute, and one standard if you're speaking out about Islam or the climate madness or gender or everything else. But the sad reality is you just cannot get away from it, and it breaks your heart as someone who cares for the institutions of this country.
Absolutely. I spoke to Jake Berry, the former Tory party chairman, Sir Jake Berry, last night, and now, of course, with Reform. He called this a dark day for British justice. I also spoke to the eminent barrister, Stephen Barrett, and he said, this is a disgrace. He said, because what we have here, this is this guy cannot say, oh, in the heat of the moment, I had an explosion of temper, I lost my temper and attacked him, because he saw Hamid Koskan in the perfectly legal process of staging a protest by burning the Quran. He saw this and went back to his place of residence to get a knife and then came back. That, in the world of law, is called premeditation. And a premeditated attack like that should not be rewarded with no custodial sentence. It's a disgrace, I think.
Well, and they're sending a message. There's a message. It's inescapable. If you're a Muslim person who feels offended at somebody denigrating your religion, you can go and commit as much violence as you seek to, and the state will not only will it not send you to prison, it will criminally prosecute the person who you feel has offended your religion. And just consider the fate at the end of it. This man has been spared prison despite the fact that he's been literally videotaped threatening to kill somebody as he stabs them repeatedly. He has been spared prison. Hamid Koskan, on the other hand, now lives in hiding. He has been warned repeatedly by the police that there are multiple credible threats to his life. And at the end of this, can you not wonder why someone who came to this country, fled to this country, he's a genuine refugee who came from Turkey after having been in prison for 10 years for having protested against Islam there. Can you not wonder why, or can you not see why they think, well, what was the point in coming to Britain in the first place? This was not the Britain I read about. This was not the Britain I was led to believe. In fact, the same Islamists that took over my own country in Turkey, well, they seem to be ruling the roost here.
They certainly do. Toby Young, Lord Young, your colleague at the Free Speech Union, a friend of mine as well, he said that this sentencing, this lenient sentencing, lack of a custodial sentence, and by the way, I don't think either you, me or Toby are the type of people say, bang them up, throw away the key, justice. We're not those kind of people. I recoil from that kind of sentiment, but you see that video. That is bad. That is bad. Anyway, Toby said that this lenient sentencing sends a green light to any Muslim who wants to enforce an Islamic blasphemy by taking the law into their own hands. The court is effectively saying that if you attack a blasphemer with a knife, he will be convicted of harassment, alarm and distress, and you won't have to spend a day behind bars. This is, I'm afraid, Sam, it's quite clear, two-tier justice. And I saw that video that we've just watched again last night, and it's quite shocking, isn't it? The viciousness of the attack.
But it's more than that, Kev. It is, and I apologise for putting it this highly, it is de facto Sharia law. It is sending a message to people on the streets of London that if you cross or transgress across a line of Islamic law that is written in there, that you mustn't denigrate the Prophet or his words in the Quran, that you can go out and you can seek violent retribution in the same way as Sharia law prescribes. That is the message that's been sent to people on that side of the ledger. And in that way, Donald Trump is right about what is happening in Sadiq Khan's London. But consider the message on the other hand. If you speak out about what's going on in our country, especially if you get it wrong, if you go over the line and cross the line, as Lucy Connolly undoubtedly did, but in one swiftly deleted tweet, well, what's your fate then? Lucy Connolly didn't stab anyone. She didn't threaten to kill anyone. She didn't repeatedly stab someone. She didn't do it in a premeditated fashion. What was her fate? 31 months in prison. A mother.
Exactly.
It is disgraceful.
I couldn't agree with you more. And Qadri, during this altercation, this explosive altercation, said, "Burning the Quran, it's my religion. You don't burn the Quran." He later told the police, "I protect my religion." People like Qadri, they do actually feel that, you know, it's against, that it is illegal to burn their book. It is illegal or somehow or other transgresses some unwritten law that you insult their religion. I don't think that people like Qadri can get it through their heads. As I say, it's not a nice thing to insult a religion or burn a religious tract. But people like Qadri, they cannot get it through their heads, you know, that this isn't Syria, this isn't Afghanistan, this is Great Britain. And in Great Britain, you can burn the Quran as a protest. And we can, if we want to, Mr. Qadri, insult your religion as well. This is the problem. Culturally, I think particularly people from the Islamic faith don't quite understand that we can laugh at their faith if we want to, we can insult it, and we can burn their holy book. As I say, I wouldn't advocate it. I don't think it's a nice thing to do, but it's legal. It's all part and parcel of freedom of expression, and we have to get that message across, don't we?
Yeah, well, look, let me be blunt. I am not a Muslim. I do not believe in Allah. I do not believe that Muhammad was his messenger. I do not believe that anything that is written down in the Quran is the word of God. That is the view of the vast majority of people in this country. It is not unacceptable. It is not extreme. It is not outrageous. It does not warrant death to say so in this country. And I can only thank my well, whatever, that we are not in the United States, for example, where these people would have access to guns, because the same instinct that ran through Musa Qadri, in my view, as he repeatedly stabbed Hamid Koskan, ran through the killer of Charlie Kirk, the killer of the people that attempted to kill our immigration and customs enforcement agents today in America, which is, if you disagree with someone politically, if you disagree with what they're saying, you can stab, kill or shoot them. That is a real problem in our country. It's a real problem across the Western world. It's growing worse and worse and worse. And the longer our politicians don't do anything about that, the more likely we are to see people on this country seriously getting killed. And that's the dangerous consequence of a message being sent like it was this week in court.
Absolutely. And looking at that video, let me ask the audience, I mean, that was not when he was doing this with them, that was not performative. He was trying to stab him, and he got away with it. Let me know, folks, what you think about that. 03444991000. Thank you very much to Sam Armstrong from the Free Speech Union. Good to have him on the show. Let's go straight to break now, and when we come back, let's talk about trouble at Labour Mill. That's a shame, isn't it? Andy Burnham, the current mayor of Manchester, he's trying to get himself a parliamentary seat, and he wants to take on Keir Starmer. It's now open warfare. He's made it clear that he is now openly campaigning to take over as Labour leader because he thinks that Keir Starmer's crap. And so do I, and so does everybody else. Keir Starmer's now saying, oh, Andy Burnham's showing naked personal ambition. So it's all kicking off. We'll talk to a Labour supporter, one of the more sensible ones, when we come back.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, in the studio is a former Labour advisor, still very much a Labour man. He's going to the party conference in Liverpool next week. That should be interesting. It's Matthew Torbett. Thanks for coming in, Matthew. Before we discuss what now is pretty much open warfare between Andy Burnham, shall we say the wannabe Labour leader, and the current Labour leader, Keir Starmer. No love lost there. But here's Andy speaking on BBC Radio about whether or not he will actually become the future Labour leader.
MPs were in touch with me, but let me also give an honest explanation of what I said to those MPs. It's not up to me. It's not my decision. That's a matter for you, for the party in Parliament. And also I said to them, and it's got to be about more than a personality contest. You know, the Tories were just constantly going through this at the latter end of the time that they were in government. It's got to be about a plan, a proper plan for the country and a proper plan to beat reform.
Now, Matthew, obviously somewhere or other Burnham has to engineer himself some kind of safe seat. And a lot of people saying there's no such thing with reform waiting in the wings. If they've managed to find him a safe seat and he loses it to reform, that might be quite a story. But seriously, that's what he needs to do. So there are hurdles for Andy to have to cross. But what I thought in the last day, I mean, it now is open warfare, isn't it? The Prime Minister today responding, saying, oh, it's not about the Mayor's personal ambition, that kind of thing. And, of course, Andy Burnham is all over the sort of Labour Bible magazine, the New Statesman, film star shot of him on the front, and you know, my vision and all this. So to say he's on manoeuvres is the understatement of the century. So you're going to Liverpool for the party conference next week, and this obviously will dominate the proceedings. I mean, I think I'm right in saying you're an Andy Burnham supporter. Is it true that there's a huge groundswell of more and more, shall we say, traditional Labour supporters who want Andy to take over?
Yeah, I think supporters, but actually more broadly, the thing that might be just as important is MPs, because if you engineer a safe seat and you win the safe seat, or you win a seat and get yourself in, you've still got to get 80 MPs minimum to back you. I've spoken to different MPs across the spectrum. You have the sort of left-wing socialist campaign group, the Richard Bergens of the world, Ian Byrne and others. You have your soft left, Dr. Rosanna Allen Khan and those types of MPs. And even those who I won't name, because I'll get them in trouble, people that are current government PPSs and junior ministers going, he's I think the person that we need. So you're talking about a broad spectrum of Labour MPs across all the different factions that, one, the general consensus genuinely is, case finished. It's too late. Anything he tries to do now is too late. Any outreach with backbenchers and whatever he's trying harder now is too late, is the general consensus. But that Andy Burnham is probably the one that should follow.
You see, you know, I'm not a natural supporter of Keir Starmer, or indeed Andy Burnham, come to think of it, but I respond to Andy Burnham because he speaks human, seems like a human being. Keir Starmer, quite the reverse. But it's not about politics. For people like me, and I think for millions of people around the country now, it's not about politics. It's not about whether you lean left or right. It's this kind of swirling mass of palpable incompetence. This government seems, or Keir Starmer's government, just seems to be hopelessly useless. I mean, today's announcement, digital ID cards. I mean, I think mainly a lot of people in Britain will hate the idea, but what on earth does Keir Starmer think he's going to get out of that? He didn't need to make this announcement. Why has he done it? Is he keen on making himself even more unpopular?
Well, it's one of the things I don't really feel strongly on either side. I see totally very bad things that could come from this, and I get, you know, maybe it's the way of the world or whatever. It appears he wants something to say because he's going to launch it at this progressive...
hard and concrete,
Yeah, they're having this progressive conference tomorrow, and he can go as a special guest and say whatever. I was quite surprised. I looked at the polling before I came in. Overwhelming public support for the idea of digital ID, but then it doesn't surprise me because the general public can be quite totalitarian in their thinking. You look at how well-behaved people were during
the greatest
COVID
tyranny comes from the people themselves.
Everyone was very well-behaved during COVID and actually at times wanted further lockdowns and we grassing on the neighbours and whatever. I think the thing that's annoyed me is... that this is apparently to sort of tackle asylum seekers, people working in the grey market. It won't work for two reasons. One, we already have this sort of stuff. We used to have what were called biometric residency permits, which, for those that don't know, was almost like small driving licence cards that would say on it whether you had the right to work, no recourse to public funds, and it's your picture and it's all there, so you could show your paperwork if you wanted to. The other reason being it's a lot more complicated. Me or you could go and sign up to be a delivery driver tomorrow. And what is happening is individuals who have the right to work are doing so and then selling these profiles online to make money out of it to people that don't have the right to work. That's not going to end any of this.
I think... You know, on these issues, you get one poll says, overwhelming support, and then another poll will say overwhelming opposition. So I think there will, you might expect it of my audience, but they're furious about this.
No, I have no doubt.
But let's talk sort of more generally. I mean, I think it's clear, Keir Starmer, I was going to ask you, what do they both stand for? It's clear to everyone, Keir Starmer stands for nothing whatsoever, except for making appalling decisions. What does Andy Burnham stand for?
I think he stands for a different type of sort of... the idea of progressive. I laughed at Maurice Glassman the other week saying progressive is a terrible word. You wouldn't go to the doctor and want to hear the word progressive, so we shouldn't talk about it in politics.
Well, not in that context.
Quite a savvy line. I think he wants to give and it sounds glib, but power back to people, or at least feel like people can be empowered in their lives. You look at the sort of mini manifesto of ideas he's put forward, has to be a huge investment in council houses or social homes, because people can't get on the ladder. And you can go right back 50 years, Kev. We talk about immigration, rightfully so. I've been doing a bit of work at the minute. If we had had net zero migration since 2010, we would still be short of 2.7 million houses for the population of this country. We've not built enough. And I think there's something to be said about the idea of public services. We pay a fortune anyway. We're going to have to bail out Thames Water next year. It's going to cost us all a fortune. We might as well own it if we're going to be paying for it.
I bail out Thames Water every 3 months when they send me the damn bills.
But so therefore, is it right that the necessities of life we should have a say in?
Well, look, but Labour, as I say, is not my party of choice, but Labour, you know, its ethos is it's the party of principles. It's the party of the people, to help the vulnerable and the downtrodden. And I think that it is Keir Starmer's clear, total abrogation of that, that people despise. And also, he just doesn't seem to be competent. He just doesn't seem to know what the hell he's doing. And in terms of principles, I think Andy Burnham, I might not like his principles, but I would just like a Prime Minister who had some. And this guy Starmer, I just don't think he has any.
I'm glad you've said that, because there's been a lot of, snide comments from people in Labour circles because he served under Blair and Brown and Corbyn, and therefore he has no real politics and he pretends to be one thing or another. I think what it shows is loyalty. Is that regardless of leader, he's loyal to the Labour Party and wants the Labour Party to succeed. I think the other thing that Burnham does, all the polls will tell you he'd win an election over Keir Starmer. He's got a better chance against Farage. It's all the polling's been done. I think when it comes to the human connection, Keir Starmer isn't authentic, and people know that when he's reading from his crib sheet, he's not being his true self and his true political self. Andy Burnham, as people have said over the last couple of days, is the same person behind the camera as he is in front of it. And I think that level of authenticity is what people want to feel like. Am I being lied to? Can I trust this guy? Would I go for a pint with him? Is he all right?
That is
and
it.
That
the pint
is,
test.
I think, where you can actually challenge people like Farage, where people may also feel that way. That's why I think he's the strongest candidate.
Well, listen, when you're in Liverpool next week, let's get you on if you're happy to do that.
Amidst the chaos.
Amidst the chaos. Yeah, well, I want reports from the clown show. But also, no,
so you've come to the biggest clown.
No, I think we know who the biggest clown is. But Morgan McSweeney, very quick couple of questions.
Yes.
Morgan McSweeney, is he gone soon?
Yeah, I think whether it be the Mandelson stuff or the Labour Together stuff, if there's some sort of inquiry, there'll have to be a fall guy. Keir won't want it to be him, so it'll have to be Morgan.
But if Morgan does go, they say that Keir Starmer is basically a hollow man filled, and the gaps are filled in by Morgan McSweeney. So he'll be very exposed. Genuinely, I mean, as I said, Andy Burnham's got a lot of hurdles to cross technically before he can even pose a direct threat. But do you think Keir Starmer is not long for this world?
May, latest.
May.
I think we lose Wales and Scotland, we lose councils like Bradford and places all over the country, and the pressure will be insurmountable. He'll have to go.
Listen, Matthew, it was great, and enjoy Liverpool. I think we all will. But seriously, we'll be in touch and you give us some reports. Amazing. That's great. That's Matthew Talbot, former Labour advisor. Well, look, I don't know, this is a bit like saying which disease would you rather die from, but who would you rather have as Prime Minister, Keir Starmer or Andy Burnham? I'm being a bit unfair to Andy Burnham. I don't care about being unfair to Keir Starmer. Seriously, let me know. Would you like Burnham to take over? Because, come on, folks, it couldn't be worse, could it? 0344 499 1000. Thank you to Matthew. When we come back, we're going to try and find out what the hell Ed Miliband, Crazy Ed, is doing in New York. He's taken yet another one of these eco-busting, planet-destroying flights all the way across the Atlantic. And we can't work out what the hell he's doing there. Don't forget, the first 6 months after Keir Starmer was voted into power, this guy, the net zero secretary, the very green, he took 23,000 miles he flew, air miles. His staff have flown about 14,000 miles on domestic flights in Britain. I mean, it seems a little hypocritical, doesn't it? We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
while Reform are in the ascendancy and they're ahead in the polls, Boris still has an appeal to the exact target voters that Reform are going for. Those people that perhaps voted Labour for a long time, then they voted for Brexit, then they voted for Boris in 2019. They're disappointed with the government, they're disappointed with the Tories, but Boris is the one that could, upset the Reform apple cart. So almost like sort of Van Helsing, they're sort of trying to drive a stake into Boris is down and out, but they just want to really make sure he's not coming back.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Let's talk about crazy Ed Miliband. He loves to get on jets, 23,000 miles in just 6 months, air miles. I thought aeroplanes were supposed to destroy the planet. They weren't good for the environment at all. Ed doesn't seem to care. His staff have been flying around Britain. They take domestic flights instead of getting onto trains. Again, not particularly ecological, is it? It's almost as if they're sort of saying to us, do as we say, not as we do. Now, Ed is in New York now. As I say, he's taking yet another planet-destroying jet flight. And we can't quite work out what on earth he thinks he's doing there. Well, look, here he is appearing on the Bloomberg TV network, spewing his usual claptrap. Take it away, Crazy Ed.
It's all about an energy security move. It's all about tackling the climate crisis, yes, but it's about us having secure, homegrown energy, renewables, nuclear. So indeed, as you say, we aren't reliant on petrostates and dictators for our energy sources.
That's rubbish. Let's talk to the head of policy at the Global Warming Policy Foundation, Harry Wilkinson. Thanks for joining us, Harry. What is he doing over there, and why does this guy take quite so many flights? His air miles are off the scale. I mean, it's seriously hypocritical, isn't it?
Well, he's there for the COP30 conference. These are these annual conferences organised by the United Nations for countries to discuss.
Going to COP in Brazil in November. So he's gone to New York to discuss going to Brazil for COP30 in November. That's a nice lot of air miles he's notching up there, isn't it?
That's right. These are preliminary discussions before the main conference. And, what a lot of hot air these conferences have generated over the years. Huge amounts of flights being taken by not just Ed Miliband, but so many other politicians, bureaucrats from the world over. And, even if climate change was your big problem that you were overwhelmingly concerned about, this would not have solved it, because the solutions they're talking about are solutions that are restricting other people's activities, making flights more expensive for other people while they take taxpayer-funded flights to these kind of conferences. And, drawing up all sorts of restrictions on how people live their lives, what boiler they can use, what car they can drive, ramping up taxes left, right and centre, pushing up the cost of energy, which is so important for our economic well-being. And all this does is slow decarbonisation, because you don't help these technologies compete with fossil fuels if you are sheltering them from competition. Competition drives innovation. It drives the kind of change that would mean that people were using alternative technologies without compulsion. So what this whole agenda has meant is that countries like the UK, like the rest of Europe, are impoverishing themselves while China, America, Russia, and the rest of the world get ahead. So this is totally counterproductive, as well as being totally hypocritical. The people going to these conferences, including Ed Miliband, they don't seem to see the disconnect between what they're saying and what they're demanding of other people, and how they're behaving themselves. They think their message is so important that they should be on these flights. If flights are so useful to them, might they also be useful to other people as well?
Yeah, the incredible lack of self-awareness. And of course, the British contingent to the last COP29, which I think was in Azerbaijan, am I right? Or Baku, wherever it was. Anyway, we took something like 460 delegates. So next month, or the month after next, November, we're all heading, or the British contingent is heading for Brazil for this ludicrous conflab where rich people flying on private jets. They've chopped down half the rainforest to build a special road from the airport to the conference centre. Very ecological. And Ed Miliband will doubtless take hundreds of delegates with him, all flying out there. I mean, Ed and his team are polluting the planet on an industrial scale, aren't they?
They are, and it's with all these influential people in the same space, if I was there, I would tell them all to read Milton Friedman, read Adam Smith, actually learn about basic economics, because they are ignoring basic economics in their approach to tackle climate change. The reality is you have to go with the grain of people's choices, and the fact that the billions of people worldwide want to live more prosperous, productive, successful lives. They want to have the lifestyles that at the moment a small percentage of people have in the UK, in the US. People around the world want those lifestyles as well. And the whole climate agenda is a miserablest one. It envisages declining energy use around the world. We've got to actually be building new energy sources so that we match the scale of human ingenuity, and we create new opportunities to grow. And this is a massive global agenda to try and place constraints on that growth, on that vitality, that will of course lift billions of people out of energy poverty. I think the debate here in the UK is massively important, but the real victims of the climate agenda are in poor countries where people don't have access to electricity. These are people living in abject misery, and the gall for these people to be posing as saviours when they're restricting the ambitions of some of the world's poorest people, it's utterly disgraceful.
It is. It's disgusting. And also, by the way, just the last point, Harry, good to talk to you, by the way. Thanks for coming on. When Ed Miliband in that clip reels out that their favourite kind of cliche, oh, well, you see, we're creating our own energy sources, green energy, windmills, solar panels, so we can stop having to buy in energy from despotic countries like Russia. That's just complete claptrap. That's a complete lie. It's a complete political line to persuade us that what they're doing is right and it'll get us out of the clutches of Putin. It's nonsense, isn't it?
It's utter nonsense. He hasn't done his research about the energy sector. He obsesses around the power sector. The reality is, looking at energy as a whole, that's the gas that we put in our gas boilers as we heat our homes. It's the petrol that we put in our cars. Fossil fuels dominate the energy mix. We still have 75% of our energy needs being met by fossil fuels. That's not going to change anytime soon. We need cheap, reliable domestic supplies of fossil fuels, and he's turning his nose up at them. He's saying no new oil and gas licenses in the North Sea. He said he wants to ban fracking forever. He seems to be wanting to be a dictator, well beyond he's out of office. That can't come soon enough. You know, we need to use these energy sources that are right on our doorstep. The boss of Enquest, an oil and gas drilling company, said that we were now losing 1,000 jobs a day.
It's a disgrace, Harry. It's a disgrace, Harry. I've got to go now because I'm coming up to the news. But really good to talk to you. Come on again soon. We'll discuss Crazy Ed again. That's Harry Wilkinson, Head of Policy at the Global Warming Policy Foundation. Next, it's Kinsey Schofield, and we'll find out what's been going on planet Sussex. That next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is the final hour of tonight's Political Asylum. It's been a great show, and it's going to be a great 60 sizzling minutes still to come. In a little while, we're going to go over to our royal guru, the brilliant Kinsey Schofield. But let me first let you know that in about 25 minutes or so, we'll be taking your calls. You can send us some WhatsApp voice notes if you like. And I've got lots of messages, but by all means, send me more. I'll read out as many as I can. But mainly, folks, try to get on the phone, 03444991000. You know, it's good to talk on Talk. And, of course, a big issue tonight, big issue, digital ID cards, Brit cards, they're going to call them. That will turn Britain into a Soviet-style papers, please society, where the cops can pull you up and say, show me your papers. And if you haven't got them, you probably get arrested or something like that. They say it's going to solve the migrant crisis. No, it isn't. They just want to control you. They want to control me. They want to control all of us. That's what they want to do. They want to keep tabs on us. Information is power. It's what socialists do. They treat us like little chips in their computer, in their national computer. The individuals, the people who make up this country don't matter. We are just numbers in the state's big machine. And that's what they'll do. They will issue us numbers. You will have your state number. Do you like the idea of that? 03444991000. What does Starmer think he's doing? Now, before that, though, as I just said, we are going to talk to the brilliant Kinsey Schofield. Hi, Kinsey.
Hi, Kev. I have some breaking news about Harry and Meghan. Are you prepared for it?
Go for it.
All right, well, I haven't seen it anywhere else, so I think this is the first show that I've seen it on. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will be honored in New York on Thursday. This is October the 9th with a Project Healthy Minds Humanitarians of the Year Award, and they're scheduled to appear at the organization's World Mental Health Day Festival on October the 10th. The prize description lauds their work to build a safer, more equitable digital world for families and youth and to advance mental well-being across the globe. How insulting to our intelligence that two people that were so dismissive and destructive towards Harry's elderly grandmother and grandfather's mental health in their dying days would be awarded for their exceptional global efforts in meaningful contributions to advance mental health well-being worldwide. Meghan Markle has one of the most toxic digital fan bases in the world that terrorized the Princess of Wales as her body was being attacked by cancer. They bully Prince William's children online. Critics argue that the behaviors of a large vocal segment of their fan base have been ugly and relentless, and that those attacks have targeted members of the royal family at some of their darkest moments. You can't applaud someone for protecting mental health while ignoring the real harm so many say followed in their wake online. This is gaslighting at the highest level and destroys any and all credibility, in my opinion, for this organization. We talk about these two a lot. I'm all for redemption and for people using their platform for good, but recognition should not be divorced from responsibility. If Project Healthy Minds wants to be an authority in this space, it will have to answer why this pairing makes sense, and it will have to explain how this award advances the causes rather than undercutting it.
Fantastic. You did say you sent WhatsApp to me the sort of PR press release on this, and even reading it, my jaw was dropping. And you've just summed it up brilliantly. And I just can't quite get my head around the fact that these two, you know, the cookie dough, dried flour, crass TV cook Meghan, and whatever the hell Harry is, dope smoking ginger charity attenders surfer, are going to be awarded Humanitarians of the Year award.
Right, and that's crazy. I mean, we could debate this all day long because there are so many examples of them hurting other people and not worrying about other people's mental health, not reining in their own fan base, which has been incredibly harmful to not just the royal family, anyone. Remember John Lennon's son who was attacked online for saying something negative about Meghan Markle, like people telling him that he should end himself. I mean, their fan base is notorious. But I'd also like to talk about the resources that will be wasted on this ego trip next month in New York. In May of 2023, we covered it live together. Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and Meghan's mom, Doria Ragland, said they were caught in what their team called a near catastrophic car chase through
That's right, the Manhattan, the slow speed car chase.
Exactly.
Yeah.
After leaving a charity event where Meghan was accepting another participation trophy, according to their spokesperson, their pursuit dragged on for more than 2 hours and included several close calls with cars, pedestrians, and even police officers. Harry's camp said the whole ordeal brought back painful memories of Princess Diana's tragic death. That's what I kept having to cover on the American side. They'd show flashes of Diana in cars, and they'd ask me about this car chase, and I was like, honestly, the mayor, NYPD, no one's saying that they believe this ever took place. I mean, there was testimony from taxi drivers, along with the NYPD, that said that they painted a much calmer picture of the night. They admitted it was tense at some times because of aggressive photographers, but stressed that there were no crashes, no injuries, and no arrests.
Yeah. And do you remember the mayor? I remember the mayor saying when this was put to him, and he sort of went, let me get this straight. You're telling me there's a high-speed car chase in Manhattan.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
No car has ever managed to get more than about 10 miles an hour in Manhattan. The idea, I think Harry...
For 2 hours.
Yeah,
For
2 hours. They were trying to act like they were zooming around Manhattan at like 90 miles an hour, terrified out of their minds. And, you know, there was no corroboration of this at all, and the police chief said, no, it just didn't happen. So they like to create this scenario in which, this fake scenario, let's be honest, in which they're sort of victims being constantly hounded by the evil media and the evil paparazzi. And according to everyone who observed this alleged high-speed car chase in New York, it simply did not happen.
Well, then Harry accused the NYPD of a cover-up,
Yeah,
saying
that's
he
right.
was
I forgot about
intentionally, yes, saying he was intentionally misled about their response and investigation. The NYPD has always downplayed this event. They've said there was, you know, no crashes, no arrests, no injuries, and even questioned whether it lasted as long as Harry's team claimed. And because we only knew about this, we didn't know about this because of paparazzi shots or because of video on the street because it was so chaotic. We knew about this because Harry sent a press release the next day, informing us all about it. By late 2023, at the urgency of Harry, and in my opinion, with an ulterior motive, NYPD intelligence reportedly told police in London that there was enough evidence to make arrests, but no one has ever been charged. No one has ever been charged. And you know why that is. It's because Harry was trying to make a case for the UK government to pay for his security whenever he came home. So Harry's security team was pushing for accountability, demanding either arrests or a clear explanation, and threatening to take it to the Manhattan DA's office if nothing happened. Harry even threatened to get his friend California Governor Gavin Newsom involved, as if he has any sway whatsoever. I mean, at this very moment, he's probably in a Costco somewhere buying hair gel. Despite all of this back and forth, Harry and Meghan keep showing up in New York for public events. And that's what I mean about the resources that we should prepare to be wasted, while maintaining that this wasn't a stunt, but a genuine security threat. Don't forget, on April 11th, 2025, Meghan Markle rolled up to Broadway in a 4-car motorcade to see Gypsy. The convoy included 3 SUVs and even an unmarked NYPD car. Plus, 2 of those SUVs were like just decoys with no one inside. And that heavy security presence at the time raised eyebrows, especially since Taylor Swift gets by and, you know, around NYPD with a lot less.
Yeah, and as you're implying, you know, these are 2 people. I mean, they go to New York to pick up this humanitarian awards, 1 each. They love to take an award. This could be Harry's greatest award since he won a Legend of Aviation award handed to him by John Travolta, even though he couldn't pass his helicopter pilot test. But these 2, Meghan and Harry, the gruesome twosome, they love to talk about ecology, to saving the planet, green, be kind and all that. But when they go to New York, what's your guess? Will they go by private jet?
If the charity will pay for it, absolutely, because that's one of the way. I mean, this is all. Let's talk about trophies. It's our, dummies. Okay, what's happening here is this company, this, I don't even know what to call it, this charity, is using Harry and Meghan so that Kevin O'Sullivan and Kinsey Schofield will talk about them.
I guess it's working.
Less about us and more about People Magazine, because what we can ensure is that Us Weekly, People Magazine, and yada, 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 some of those, some of those media entities that are already so pro Harry and Meghan will give this charity and we'll give Harry and Meghan glowing reviews. We'll talk about how expensive Meghan's jewelry is, what exactly she's wearing. That's what they're all going to do. So this company is using Harry and Meghan to elevate their cause, and Harry and Meghan are using this charity to try to rehabilitate themselves. I haven't...
Hang on. Hang on, Kinsey, we've lost your sound. Come on. No, you're back. Can I hear you again?
Okay.
Yeah, I hated to interrupt you there. This is brilliant stuff. Carry on.
But the charity is using Harry and Meghan for headlines, for an easy get headline-wise, and Harry and Meghan are using this charity to rehabilitate themselves. I haven't seen these teams partner in the past. You know, I can understand awarding Harry and Meghan a trophy if they've done enormous things for your charity, but I've never even seen them work together in the past. I mean, are you telling me because Harry and Meghan showed up earlier this year to do a sit down with CBS to talk about online bullying that translates into a trophy for all of their hard work? I mean, this is all just there's something in it for both parties, and we need to be skeptical when we see these things. Harry and Meghan, they don't look like nice people, and this trophy allows them to say, but we are nice. Remember when this mental health company gave us these glossy plaques, and this company that you and I had never heard of before, we're now talking about it because they've attached Harry and Meghan to an event.
It's called Project Healthy Minds, and it's going to be in New York in October, isn't it? So and they're going to get Humanitarians of the Year award, and this is all about mental health. Now, in fairness to the dazzling duo, Harry and Meghan, they have had this campaign about online harm, you know, the harm that children can suffer when they get lost in the dark world of the internet, and it's a good cause. And to be fair to Harry, you know,
I mean, yeah, it's a good cause until you see the cruel things that they say about the Princess of Wales's children on the internet. Yeah. Their fan base is so ugly about children on the internet.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, Harry sort of did come off social media in respect of this campaign, and we now know, you know, and at the same time so did Meghan, but when she had Tat to flog on As Ever, she suddenly went back onto Instagram, and now she's a very, very active participant in the world of online harm because she's very active on Instagram. So the hypocrisy is pretty...
While posting vague pictures of their children, which again, promote product, which I think if you are seriously concerned about the safety of your child or you want to protect their privacy, AI is crazy these days. With all of the different angles that we get of those children, you put a bunch of them into AI and I guarantee you it could come up with something that looks even remotely like the two children. You know, either don't put them on at all, or, I mean, I just think that they shouldn't have the kids on the internet at all if they want the children to be left alone. But I think that it's almost more dangerous to just post the back of their kids' heads, because there are weirdos out there that their interest is piqued over that. Yeah. I don't care about the kids. I don't think they're prince and princess. You know, Harry and Meghan quit their jobs. But there are people that would be more interested and intrigued by the mystery.
Absolutely. And talking about Meghan and Instagram, obviously she mainly uses Instagram to plug her products. The As Ever thing, you know, we love to talk about it, don't we? That I always say, I just don't understand this business. I don't think it's going to succeed. I can't imagine who on earth would want to spend $14 on a jar of jam, scam jam, or $9 on a jar of marmalade. It's all gone very quiet, hasn't it?
It has. I mean, I wish I could tell you that I understood any sort of strategy whatsoever. I don't understand anything they do. I mean, they just had Ted Sarandos on Emma Grande's podcast again, who, by the way, Emma Grande, we've talked about her in the past because Meghan sat down and did her podcast. Now Ted Sarandos is sitting down to do her podcast, and she just announced on Instagram that she is a new ambassador for the King's Trust, King Charles's Trust. So again, I stress that I feel like Harry and Meghan are so desperate to get back into the fold that they are engaging with somebody that clearly has a decent relationship with the royal household, where Ted was like, Meghan's knocking it out of the park. She's an incredible influencer. Everything she does is a win. I mean, maybe...
No, it's not, Ted. No, it's not. She most things she does are incredible losses, I would suggest.
Everything she touches
it,
turns to loose fruit spread.
Kids, what? Loose fruit, scam jam. What is it, Kinsey, about Ted Sarandos? I mean, you know, he's obviously a talented man. You don't get to be chief executive of a massive streaming giant like Netflix without being incredibly intelligent, understanding the market. But I said this to you before, and I'll say it again. I think he's entirely wrong about his fixation with Meghan. I don't think there's money in Meghan for Netflix. I really don't. We saw what happened to the second series of With Love, Meghan. It died a terrible death, terrible ratings, and yet he's still...
No, wait until the Christmas special. You might change your mind when you see Prince Harry climbing down Prince Harry in a Santa suit climbing down someone else's chimney. You might change your mind.
Yeah, but seriously, it's a very strange syndrome. What do you make of this story? Again, cashing in on her kids. You alerted me to this on your podcast. Recollections may vary. I think.
Wait, can I just answer your question about Ted Sarandos really quickly?
Yeah, please, yeah.
So, if you notice, Ted never goes into any sort of compliments about Prince Harry.
That's true.
Really
very true. Very true.
He really fixates on stroking Meghan's ego. It's all about Meghan. And we've seen in every project that she's done that someone has advised her, it's important that your husband's involved because really that's the only reason that you're relevant. Season 1 of the Netflix series, Prince Harry pops out at the very end.
1 second at the end, yeah.
But we all talked about it, which meant we got eyeballs to tune in. Prince Harry's MIA in season 2, and season 2 doesn't even crack the top 100. In Archetypes, Prince Harry pops in for a few of the episodes. He's friendly with Serena Williams. It's his idea that Meghan has somebody like Andy Cohen from Bravo come on, and she do a male-dominated episode. And Archetypes survives much more than Confessions of a Female Founder did, and I don't believe we got any Harry in Confessions of a Female Founder, and that is what analytically would be considered a failure. I do think knowing that information, it gives me more confidence in the argument that Ted Sarandos is banking on a potential separation and wanting to be in Meghan's corner, wanting to have that exclusive with Meghan Markle in case things fall through the cracks, in case Harry and Meghan were to ever separate. Because I don't care what anyone says, this tug of war in the headlines between Harry signing his kid up at school at Eton, Harry wants his kids to go to school in the UK,
he's going to come back 4 or 5 times a year. Meghan will hate all this British stuff, won't she?
Exactly. Meghan does not want to come back to the UK to live, so that
doesn't
she
want
can
to come back
be closer to her
ever. I
children
don't
at board.
think.
Yes, and I'm sorry, but that just makes absolutely no sense to me. I wish that I could sit back and believe that everything was hunky dory at home.
I don't think it is. I agree with you. I think there's definite signs of a rift because, as we were just saying, Meghan hates Britain. She hates British people. She hates the royal family. As I always said, I don't think she'll ever step foot back in this country, in Britain, ever again. But Harry is making more and more overtures. As you said, he's saying he's going to come back 4 or 5 times a year. He's going to see his dad as much as he can. He's even making noises about trying to return to royal duties. We'll talk about that in a little while because he's never going to achieve that, but he's talking about it. And as you say, the icing on the cake of his British dream, he's now saying, having said, I can never bring my children to my home country because it's so unsafe. He's now saying he's going to put them into British public schools. He was seen at Eton potentially.
And he told the Guardian, he's getting closer to bringing his children to the UK. And I went back and read Revenge recently. And if you listen to Meghan's absolute hostility and dismissal of the Queen and King Prince Charles at the time, begging her to reconcile with her father. They said, please get on a plane and end this. Go see your dad, apologize, and, have some sort of reunion with him. She completely dismissed that suggestion. She was hostile at the thought. in reading that, you kind of get an understanding of how she must have reacted to Harry recently doing the same thing multiple times.
She'll hate this British stuff, won't she?
I completely think so. So I don't know. I think that listen to the way Ted Sarandos speaks about only one of the members of that family.
Yes, very interesting. Just before we go, we've been sort of alluding to it, and we've spoken about it before, but I've been reading more and more about this rapprochement meeting a couple of weeks ago when Harry was doing his Love Me Do charity tour of Britain. Aren't I great? Grinning for the cameras. Aren't I nice? No, you're not really. So the denouement of that was he goes to see his dad for 54 minutes. Hasn't spoken to him for 19 months. 54 minutes. And of course he came out, so it's brilliant, my dad's doing great, and what a fantastic meeting. I'm back in the fold. Then he starts giving interviews saying he's planning to come back regularly to see his dad. Next year will be all about my dad. He's even suggesting he might take a load off William, do some royal engagements. Well, what we're learning now is that meeting, the Tea for Two reunion with Harry and King Charles, with Queen Camilla in the room watching closely like a hawk to make sure that Harry didn't betray any confidences afterwards. What we're learning about that meeting is, in fact, this was the tenor of it, that Harry sat down, started going on about, his half in, half out dream, I want to do some royal duties, and his dad turned round and in no uncertain terms said, Harry, this is never going to happen. You do not do half in, half out. You either do frontline royal duties or you don't. So your dream of coming back, doing a few royal gigs and then going back to California, forget it. It's never going to happen. So that meeting was a lot more fraught than Harry tried to make out it was.
Well, if I accept that as truth, then it's even more, to me, nefarious that we had so many headlines come out directly after it about how it was all systems go. With the like they're going to bulldoze their way through this, and they're going to do it come hell or high water. Harry wants to do that. And we're seeing this strategy at the same time with these new reports that I've had people personally reach out to me saying, I'm seeing this happening. And I saw an article about it in the Daily Mail today, that there is a clear campaign to discredit the Wales family. And doing that, try to clear a path for the Sussexes so that they could have a softer launch if they do come home, a softer reception if they do come home, if the Wales family is villainized. And I'm seeing headlines that make so what, they want to move to get away from cancer memories.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
Criticize this family for trying to get out of a house that holds a lot of awful memories for them. I'm not.
Yeah. No, and just in case people think I'm spreading tittle tattle here, the reason
I'm not.
I just wanted to say, Kins, that the reason I wanted to bring it up, because we have discussed it before, but it's the Times newspaper, our most respected newspaper here in Britain, that is reporting that the actual nature of this meeting between the King and Harry, this reunion, rapprochement, if you like, was essentially the King saying, you want to come back here, you want to do the odd royal engagement, you want to do a bit of half in, half out, go back to California. Harry, forget it. It is never going to happen. So in a sense, I think he had his British dream. He had the door of his British dream slammed in his face. That's what happened in that meeting.
But it makes you realize just how disrespectful, determined, and I mean, I don't know, I can't think of another word that won't offend somebody, but to me, it's just so vulgar for him to be told that, but to still leak
Yeah, it's
trying
going to
force,
happen. Yeah.
force his way. Yeah, trying to
That's
force
what he
his
does,
own way.
though, isn't it? That's what he does. He gets told he can't do something, and then, like a spoilt child, sort of stamps his feet and tries to pretend it's going to happen. Well, it's not going to happen. But listen, Kinsey, I better go now. But can I just say,
okay.
No. I just wanted to say you're an amazing form tonight. Fantastic. That was just.
This is my Friday.
Yeah,
so,
but even by your high standards, that was amazing. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk on Monday. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Kinsey Schofield, amazing. Let's go to break now, and when we come back, I've got calls, I've got messages, I've got WhatsApp voice notes. All human life is here. Still got 30 minutes to go. Your show up until 10 o'clock, and then, of course, it's Harry Cole Saves the West, our new American show. It's actually being filmed here in London at the moment, but it's about America and it's about the Western world, really, and Harry's going to save it. He's got a lot of work to do, I'd say that. Anyway, that's at 10 o'clock, but before that, we will talk on the phone. I'll read some messages, and I'll read some WhatsApp voice notes, or play some WhatsApp voice notes, so stick around.
He's not currently an asylum seeker. He was given protected status.
Right.
That does allow him to access a refugee travel card, which he can use to go in and out of the country, obviously for legitimate purposes. There is only a couple of very strict rules with that travel card, and this is why he's under investigation. The two basic rules are: you cannot go to the country you're from, and you cannot go to a country you've claimed asylum from, which I think everyone across the board can agree is how the asylum system should work.
So
if you're claiming a country is too dangerous, surely you cannot go back.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Should have said after Harry Cole saves the West, after he's completed saving the West at 11 p.m, the good ship talk will be taken over by dazzling dynamic duo Ash Gould and Andre Walker. So they'll take over the helm and steer you into the small hours all the way to 1 a.m. Shall we play a WhatsApp voice note first? I think they're all on digital ID. Everybody very wound up about this. Matthew Turbot from Labour saying, oh, actually, there's a lot of popularity in the pub. I don't think there is. I think this is not British. Papers, please, show me your identification card. That's not British. The British people will not like this. Labour will probably try and spin it to say, oh, it's actually but it didn't used to be popular, but it is now. Rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Starmer has scored yet another spectacular own goal. Why? You didn't need to do this, you idiot. Why are you doing this? You might as well sort of stab yourself in the face or something. Ridiculous. So, on digital ID, here's Katie.
I found my hill to die on. I'll join any march. They can call me ultra-far-right, but I will not carry an identity card. I can prove who I am. I don't need that to stop me bloody working.
There you go. You see, I think this is going to be the kind of strength of feeling. I saw a message earlier from someone saying the same thing. I just won't. A lot of people just saying, here we go. This is the one. It's from Val in Chesterless Street in County Durham. She says, no to ID. I've reached the age of 87. I've never seen this country in such a dreadful state, and they can send me to prison. I refuse to have one. She won't have a Brit card. She's 87 years old. What are the government going to do if 87-year-olds say, I'm not having one, I'm just not having one? What are they going to do? Put her in jail? Well, probably. You know what they're like. They love to put innocent people in jail. But anyway, let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Karen in Bournemouth. Hello, Karen.
Hi, Kev. Good to speak to you again.
Good to talk to you. Digital IDs. Fancy it? Fancy it?
You can shove them where the sun doesn't shine, and I hope your edges are really sharp.
Yeah. I think they're un-British, and I don't agree that... But they're trying to say that millions or lots of Brits really think this is a good idea. They don't object. I think from the bottom of our hearts, we're going to viscerally object to this. We're going to try to stop this. I don't think it's British. I don't think we want it. Do you, Karen?
I don't think so either, but I think the fear is that because the younger generation, because I'm an oldie, the younger generation are quite used to giving away information and data and all of that kind of stuff on their phone anyway. So they don't actually realise the danger of it.
Yeah. So I've got a, hang on there, Karen. I've got a, there's no name on this text that was sent to me, but it's a good idea. They're saying, so these ID cards are dangerous. We've had how many cyber attacks over the years? All our personal data will be on these cards, from our bank account details to NHS and everything in between. I'll stick to my driving licence. That's what this person said. I'm not sure how much information will have to be on these cards, but if it's as bad as that, I mean, I might go to the wall rather than give them my bank account details. Sod that, you know.
Well, the thing is, it's got nothing to do whether it's of benefit to us. It's purely his control.
Exactly, control freakery. That's exactly what it is, Karen. There is no benefit to the people at all. It will do nothing to even dent the depth of the migrant crisis. It won't do anything. They go, oh, it'll help solve the crisis. What a load of rubbish. No chance whatsoever. You're right, Karen. It is just about left-wing socialists treating us like pawns in their game, in their national game, all getting a state number. Individuals mean nothing. We are just a number in the state machine, and I don't like that.
Can I say one other thing?
Please do, Karen.
When this definition of Sharia, the definition of Islamophobia comes in, that will give those Sharia courts a lot more power, because what they'll say is, well, if you're not going to deal with it, you're Islamophobic.
Yeah, I know, exactly right. We don't need. I don't know why we need this definition. It's sinister and it's wrong. It's another assault on our liberty from this illiberal socialist government. Karen, good call. Good to talk to you. Karen in Bournemouth there. Bournemouth, of course, was the scene of the Lib Dem Party conference, wasn't it, over the past few days, where Ed Davey, Big Ed, Dim Ed, made that speech saying, oh, why does everybody do? He mentioned Nigel Farage 33 times in his speech. And he keeps going, why do the media keep covering Nigel Farage? It's not fair, it's not fair. Well, what it is, Ed, is we find Nigel Farage interesting. And that's why you do a story, because we think the story's interesting. Now, in terms of finding you interesting, I don't think that's much of a starter. You're not interesting. And you can fall out of as many canoes as you like, go water skiing or whatever the hell it is you do, bang drums, play cricket on the beach, doesn't make you interesting. You just haven't got the stuff, Ed. You haven't got the stuff. It's as simple as that. Let's listen to a voice note. This is from Pistol.
So, digital IDs, guess what? Starmer, you can sod right off. Stick them where the sun doesn't shine, mate. I've got a passport. That's all you need to know about me.
Well, Pistol, good name. And you certainly opened fire there. See what I did there? That's why I get the big bucks. Great wordplay, that. No, seriously, Pistol, it's exactly the way I feel. You can stick your digital IDs where the sun don't shine. That said, responsible broadcaster and all that, if this becomes law, you know, I wouldn't advocate people breaking the law. I mean, I won't like the law. There's a lot of laws I don't like. Hate speech laws for hate crimes and all that. But they're the law. So, you know, if any of you are planning, you know, kind of ultimate protest, be careful. Just be careful. Don't break the law. It's not fair. It's a lousy law. But if it comes in, you have to obey the law. Damn. Listen, let's go to break, shall we? And when we come back, we'll take some more calls.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Another interesting text here. No name on it again, but I'm liking some of these objections to the proposal that we should all have Brit cards. Show me your identification. I haven't got it. Right, you're under arrest. The police will have to get some jack boots, start wearing those when we have our ID system. Papers, please. Papers, please. Anyway, this person says, put your name on in future, seriously, if you can, because this is good. She says, yes, it must be a she, maybe, you never know. Let's assume it's a she. My partner has no passport, driving licence or mobile phone and refuses to have any of them. Good luck trying to get him to have digital ID. See, a lot of people don't go in for this stuff. They don't want to be a part of all this. And Danny says, that's it. Hi, Kev. That's it. I am now packing up my business and planning to move out of the UK. As I keep saying, you know, this is self-harming by Starmer. Why is he doing it? We don't really need these cards. If he didn't do this, people, you know, would just, you know, jog on, wouldn't they? Would just trundle on. But instead he does this, and as Matthew Turbot was saying earlier, the Labour guy will be he's a sensible Labour guy, as you heard. He's going to be at the conference next week. And he said, I said, well, why not is he doing this? Why is he saying this? And Matthew said, well, because it's the conference and he needs something kind of concrete and dramatic to say. Well, you know, it'd be better not to say that, because it's not going to do him any good, let me tell you. Let's talk to Elaine in Derbyshire. Hello, Elaine.
Hello, Kevin. I think the thing with ID cards is they're only useful if you deny the people without them services. So if you're saying that they're for illegal immigration, then by definition you have to deny everybody who doesn't have one recourse to public funds, which is already the case. And of course, they're not going to deny people. They're not going to turn people away from the hospital.
Yeah, you're right, Elaine.
Immigrant
Good
children
point.
are still going to be at schools. And what he would have been better off doing is saying, from now on, anybody who's not a citizen will have to have an ID card, because we need to know where you are, who you're with, what bus you're going on.
Much better
because you're not
idea.
a citizen of this country. We need to know how often you're using the health service. We need to know where
Good
your
idea,
children go to
this.
school.
I'm all for this.
Yeah, and I personally foresee that this is going to be judicially reviewed and not by civil liberties groups. I think it's going to be judicially reviewed by disabilities groups, because there are a lot of disabled people who can't, for any reason, have mobile phones.
Yeah.
I used to work in a care
But
home.
Elaine, there's a lot of people. I mean, you know, the natural thing to say is a lot of old people don't have smartphones. They don't like them. They're not
No, it's
used
not
to them.
disabled
But it's
people.
not just old people. It's all sorts, all walks of life. Loads of people don't have smartphones, and yet this system, these digital ID Brit cards, will require mobile phones. Well, what about the people who haven't got them?
It's one of the reasons why they couldn't bring in. Do you remember when they tried to do the COVID with the mask? One of the reasons why they couldn't enforce it is because of the Disabilities Act. It doesn't allow for it because you're discriminating against people with disabilities.
Yeah,
So if
yeah,
you're
that's a good
requiring
point. You
everybody
could,
to have a phone-
yeah, you could challenge on this. Yeah, I think
so they
Elaine.
have to,
I think there will be lots of challenges, legal and otherwise. By the way, I've just you might be interested to hear this, Elaine. I hope you are. Anyway. Everybody else might be as well. I am. This is a text I've had from Ian in Walsall. And he's pointed out, I didn't know this, but there's an immediate online petition has been started opposing or objecting to the idea of digital ID cards. It started today, only this afternoon. It's got 180,000 signatures already. But sorry, I've just been informed it's now up to 342,000. Elaine, that is massive. That is massive. So,
I mean, well, I just wanted to say, I just feel like, I know everybody's really hopeful that petitions and that work, but, you know, when politicians in this country covered up the systematic rape of young girls, when they are, you know, give the ability to, during COVID, just ride roughshod over civil liberties, and they were willing to sack, well, I think it was 30,000 care workers and pretty much half of the NHS. I don't think a petition's going to do it.
No, but
look.
You can always say, well, a petition's just a piece of paper with a load, or a digital website with a load of signatures on it. But what I'm telling you is 342 signatures in, what is it now? 4 or 5 hours. That is massive. That is massive. That is an indication. It is important that is an indication of the depth of antipathy towards this entire project by our awful government. So, Elaine, listen, very good points. I've got to move on though, but thank you very much for calling, and call me any old time. Elaine in Derbyshire with a very good call there. Let's listen to a voice note. This is Sam again on digital IDs.
After hearing about Starmer's latest ludicrous plan to enforce every adult to have a digital ID, not only is my blood boiling, I think we need to have a new public holiday soon. We've got VE Day, we've got VJ Day. Let's have VS Day or ES Day when eviction of Starmer happens. What a horrible, disgusting little man this person is.
I think a lot of people are feeling that, Sam. I mean, I just think he's crossed the line now. And, you know, Matthew Torbett earlier said, well, Labour's line on this is, well, Tony Blair abandoned it in the early noughties because he could sense the strength of opposition around the country. The people just didn't want it. But they're saying, but the mood has changed, especially because of the migrant crisis. Well, 342,000 signatures in 5 hours. The mood has not changed. Keir Starmer is trying to impose on us something that I guarantee you millions and millions of people in this country will absolutely detest. They don't want it. It's not British, is it? So you're walking down the street. I know you never see a copper from one day to the next, but, you know, let's live in a fantasy land. You're walking down the street. Copper stops you. First thing he's going to say, it might be two of them, is show us your papers, please. You know, it's like they do in Russia, like they do in North Korea, like they do in China. Is that what you want? Like they used to do in East Germany, like they did in Stalin's Russia. Is that what you want? It's not, is it? It's not true to say that most people want these digital cards, and for God's sake, none of us, let us not fall for this line of absolute crap that it will help to solve the migrant crisis. It won't do a damn thing to solve the migrant crisis. They just want to control you. They want to have tabs on you. They want to give you a state number. Is that what you want? 03444991000. Let's listen to a voice note from Benjamin.
I do not want all my information in one place where a hacker can get everything about me because everything's in a centralized location. Forget it. I don't want it.
Yeah. That's Benjamin. I totally agree. I thought he was doing a joke accent there, but he's obviously from South Africa, isn't he? But that's what it'll be like, though, won't it? There seems to... show us your papers. There seems to be a discrepancy here. Come with us. That's what it's like. I don't want this. I don't want this. What are you doing, Starmer? What are you doing to our country? Let's talk to Greg in Edinburgh. Hello, Greg.
Oh, hello there, Ken. How's things?
Things are good, but the temperature's rising in this studio, and I think around the country about these digital ID cards.
Indeed. Well, what I haven't heard anyone raise so far, forgive me if someone already has, but how much is this going to cost?
Good point. Very good point. Nobody has raised that, but apart from anything else, it'll no doubt be astronomically expensive. We can't afford this sort of thing these days.
They'll say it's going to be, it'll be, as usual with this company, they'll say, it'll be 300 million, and then it'll work out about 22 billion or something.
You're right, yeah.
You know, and they'll stick it on the national. And again, it's just yet another thing to do with the migrant crisis that we're all having to suffer fiscally because they, you know, whether it's housing them, all the money that we spend on the immigration crisis at the moment, this is yet another bill that we're all having to pay supposedly to cover illegal immigration.
Yeah, but it won't do anything
to solve the migrant crisis. No, they just want to control us. I mean, let me ask you this, Greg, because I can't for the life of me think of one advantage to you, me, and the citizens around this country of us having to have an official state ID card. What advantage is that to you or me? Can you think of anything?
Well, I'll confess, as an ex-cop, I was always pretty sort of neither here nor there about it, because for a start, the minute you're born, you get given an NHS number. So that's your national ID card. That's your national ID.
Yeah.
We've always had one, right?
Yeah.
The second one was, as a cop, everyone who's driving on the road, the police have the power to stop your car and ask to see your driving license.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of the American system. I've got no objection to that.
Right. And how many times has it actually happened that cops have got the time? So when it was non-digital, I just thought it's the police don't have the time to do this.
I mean, I suppose it might make life easier for the police,
and it would, but
that cannot supersede freedom. And this is an assault on our liberty.
But that's where the danger is, that it is digital.
Yeah, exactly.
If it was purely your driving license, then that's fine. But it's the fact that it's linked into everything.
No, I know exactly right, and we still don't know quite what information they're going to require before they give us these cards. So we'll have to keep a watching brief on that. But I suspect I've got to try to be slightly optimistic. I think the resentment, the massive tidal wave of resentment about these cards may end up succeeding in blocking them. Let's hope so. Greg, great call. Thank you very much, Greg in Edinburgh. Very quickly, let's talk to Carl in Liverpool. Hi, Carl. Sorry, I left it a bit late. You haven't got long. You want to talk about digital IDs as well? What would you like to say, mate?
Well, good evening, Kev. Yeah. He's already said that it's for it's for illegal immigrants. 60-odd million people aren't illegal. The rest might be or are. We don't need that as British people. We've got passports, driving license, bank accounts, national insurance numbers, but also no one's come up and said that what cost this is going to be to the British taxpayer.
Well, Greg from Edinburgh just rang up and said that. The cost is one thing. And I do think that's an important factor, but it is nowhere near as important as the principle of an assault on our basic liberty. You know, we are not a papers, please society. We are not a documented, regimented society that Keir Starmer wants. And I don't want a state ID card, and I don't think you do, and I don't think millions of others do. Carl, I've got to go. Give me a call tomorrow, have a proper chat. But thanks for calling as always. Always good to talk to you. Regular caller, Carl. Just very quickly, I'll play This Is from Margaret in Birmingham. Tony Blair is pulling Starmer's strings, who is a right puppet. We have been invaded, and now we are having to pay the price with these ID cards. Where are our human rights? This crazy idea will hopefully mean Starmer's exit from number 10. It might well be, Margaret, the straw that breaks the Starmer back. As I said earlier, I don't particularly like Andy Burnham's politics, but he is trying to defenestrate Keir Starmer from number 10 Downing Street. So go, Andy, go. You have our full backing. Nothing can be worse than this current Prime Minister. No to ID cards. And on that bombshell, we're going to hand over to Harry Cole Saves the West. You've been a great audience. I've been a mediocre presenter. I'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. for another edition of The Political Asylum. I expect you to be there.
could ask them for any intelligence on an individual. You should be able to ask other countries as well. I know that's a little bit more difficult after Brexit, but it's not impossible to do so. But it does make you wonder why people aren't searching through social media records, for example.
Yeah.
It's very clear that they're posting on those. They have a phone, they have access to the internet, so it shouldn't be that difficult. And